What's up, everyone, and welcome into episode number 513, where it is my honor and privilege to introduce a special guest joining this episode, and that is Aquinas swimmer Bryce Hopson. How are you doing, Bryce?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for joining. I know we've had a little bit of technical difficulties, but I'm glad we've kind of gotten those figured out. Finally, can record the podcast. But just how's things going at Aquinas? How was your day? How was practice? Just how's things been?
It's going really well. We had a little bit of a harder set this morning. It was stationed, so we're just going around, doing our own thing. But
Okay.
it was definitely challenging. We're getting up to our mid-season point, so we're training right through our meets. No slowing down, no taper, not yet. Um, College is great, actually. I'm a resident for Lafayette, Indiana, so moving here was
Okay.
definitely a change. But Michigan and Aquinas have treated me really well so far, and I can't wait to see where it goes still.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And obviously, kind of being a part of a swim team probably helped your transition a little bit, made it probably a little bit easier. Kind of have, I don't want to say quote unquote built-in friends, but obviously have like teammates that you obviously get to practice with, all that kind of stuff, which obviously makes it a little bit easier, even though it's a difficult transition for the most part. But like when you have your early morning practices, how early are they? Are you talking like 6 a.m.? Are you talking 7 a.m.? Are you talking like 5:30? Like, what's that kind of practice like this morning? Like, what time do you guys typically start?
Well, most of us all wake up around 5:30. Practice, we don't
Okay,
hit the water until about 7 a.m., but
okay.
we're all up pretty early so we can get there, start our movement. We're all expected to be there about 6:30 so we can start our dry land, get moving, get our bodies warmed up before we start our actual swim.
So, still a really early morning, but not like super early. So, it's still probably rough at times, but it's probably something that you're used to historically being a swimmer, having to have those early morning practices.
Used to being up super early to get straight into the pool or get into the weight room to get the workout and then go to school right after. So,
Yeah, it's just kind of obviously the part of not only being an athlete but being a swimmer. Just kind of that's what you do once you kind of start to get a little bit more serious in the sport. I'm sure you probably did that in high school. We'll kind of get into high school, Aquinas, all that here shortly. But your journey, especially as like a college swimmer, isn't your typical one. Can you just talk about how you got started in the sport a little bit later than most college swimmers? Because you see a lot of college swimmers, they start pretty young. They kind of work their way through to being in college, but you started a little bit later than most do.
yeah, I had started in a lot of other sports before I did swimming. My mom always wanted me to be super active when I was little. I started with like baseball, soccer, all your typical like sports that a little boy would be in. I got thrown around in those. Eventually, it was either do basketball again for another season or it was do swimming. At the time, I didn't realize it was like going to be competitive swimming. I thought it was just
Okay.
like go have fun in the pool for like 2 hours and get out. Well, that is definitely not true. I eventually get there. I start practice. It was entirely different from what I originally thought it was going to be. I will admit, for like the first month, I thought it was going to be really awful and I didn't want to do it and I wanted to quit. But once I actually did my first competition, which was about 7 years ago now,
Okay.
I knew I wanted to stick with the sport. And so I ended up sticking with it through all my, sixth grade when I started. So I stuck with it through all then, had a couple key memories that really stuck with me. And I eventually, COVID hit seventh grade year. So I was laid off for swim for 2 years. And then, end of eighth grade, I moved to Indiana from
Okay.
Washington State, started BA, which is Boilermaker Aquatics. I was originally offered to swim, I think it was on Senior Black, which is the highest rated swim component for their club.
Okay.
I was rated there, but I didn't take it because it was the summer. I had just moved there, so I wanted to explore Indiana, figure out what I was doing. I ended up starting my first season in it was what would have been 2021, 2022. October is when I
Okay.
started preseason for swim. My high school coach said I had great promise as an athlete, so that's really when my journey started.
So, how different was the atmosphere in swimming like in Washington compared to swimming in Indiana? Because I know Indiana is a very big swim state. It's something that like you have a ton of people that do it. You talk about kind of the Olympic trials was in Indiana, Indianapolis. You see like Carmel, Indiana. They send a ton of swimmers to college, to Olympics. You see a lot of people from Indiana. Just how different was the atmosphere going from swimming in Washington to swimming in Indiana? Or was that not something you really truly kind of noticed or really understood being kind of so young when you did start?
Even being young when I moved, I could see the entire difference between it because in Washington, it was just a lot of clubs and everything. I don't
Okay.
think like any of the schools, unless they had like really like huge amounts of spending, they could had like a swim team. It was all football, basketball, baseball, the big three. But moving to Indiana, there was a clear difference because like every high school that I went to had a pool. You could go swim. Swimming was part of your curricular. You had to do it
Okay.
for PE, and just everything in Indiana, you could see there was just swimmers everywhere. Like I met swimmers before I even started preseason. I was like going around making new friends, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm joining the swim season this year," or "Hey, I uh did swim season last year. I'm not doing it this year, but it was really fun." It it was just a huge difference between Washington State, where it's just like all club, no high school, compared to Indiana, where it's club, high school, college, everything.
And that probably made it a little bit easier to kind of like buy in to truly want to obviously get better at the sport because you did mention when you first started swimming, like you didn't enjoy it for like the first month until you finally got to the meet. For a lot of people, like that's kind of like the main thing that they obviously enjoy is like competition, right? Like maybe practice isn't necessarily the most fun thing in the world, but that truly started. And then obviously you moved to Indiana, you kind of have that buy in. And do you think kind of moving to Indiana, having all those like swimmers that you got to know prior to like preseason, just kind of the effort and time that people put into the sport in Indiana, do you think that really kind of helped you transition into the sport and help you realize like, hey, this is the sport for me? Like, do you think you would have realized that at Washington, or do you think it truly was kind of that move to Indiana that realized helped you realize that?
It was definitely the move to Indiana. Like in Washington, I don't think anybody really took swimming seriously. Like, of course, there were people that did, but in Indiana, it was just there was far greater amounts of people that would actually like get in the water every day, expecting to do their best, always training hard, always lifting hard, doing everything they could to get better. Whereas like Washington, it was like an extracurricular. You could be there, you couldn't. But in Indiana, like especially in high school, it was like mandatory you be there. You committed to this, you stick with it. And like you can quit once the season's done, but you have to give your full effort until the season's over with. So the
And
change
just
between the two is just vast.
Yeah, and absolutely. And just because of that, just like how physically and mentally demanding is a sport of swimming, especially when you kind of made that transition, because you're fully expected to be fully invested and then you're expected to put in so much time, so much effort. And for a lot of people, they might say that swimming is one of the hardest sports. Like, just like what kind of toll does that take on you, and just how have you kind of stayed in the sport throughout your career, even though it's been a very physically and mentally demanding sport?
It's definitely been hard. Um, there was always this running joke that like your sophomore year is your sophomore slump in high school. I didn't particularly have that. I did amazing my sophomore year. It was more my junior year, which junior year of high school, everyone can pretty much vouch for is probably the hardest time because you're looking into colleges, you're looking where you want to go, what your grade, what you want to be for a major. So it was just really hard. I know my junior year, start of the season, I almost quit swim. Like it was just so hard on me. I had been training hard all summer. I hadn't made any progress through my long course times. I was upset with myself all the time. It was just it was a draining season for my junior year. I still ended the season off with some pretty good PRs. I also had but like the mentality of swimming is just so hard to maintain because even the best people, like Caleb Dressel, he cried at the Olympic trials and Olympics 'cause he had some pretty bad performances, but he didn't let it get him down. It's just swim is just such a hard thing to like stay motivated for the entire time because it's first of all, it's mentally exhausting to stay in that mindset. Like you're waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, going to practice, then you got to go to school, and then you have a second practice in the afternoon. And you got to maintain all your schoolwork on top of that. And then you have the meets during the week. Typically, it was like Tuesday, Thursday, or you'd have meets over the weekend, so you weren't getting much
Okay.
rest. Like I know during high school season, we practiced what? It was Monday through Saturday, probably about 30, 40 hours a week, and then we got Sunday off. And even still, we were still moving around on Sunday, stretching, doing whatever we could on our own time.
Yeah. It's almost like a full-time job. Like that's kind of what you're expected to do, and you're expected to do schoolwork. You're expected to maybe even have a social life. I know for a lot of swimmers, kind of practice is their social life. A lot of swimmers don't have a ton of time outside of the pool, like you specifically mentioned. But you also did bring up kind of junior year, and junior year obviously is a big year, not only for academics but also like recruiting, wanting to continue to swim in college. You also did mention that you almost quit. Like, why didn't you? Was it like specific like coaches? Was it like your teammates? Was it more of just like, hey, like this is really tough. Like this is kind of to a point where I want to stop, but it's almost like I feel like I haven't accomplished what I wanted to accomplish yet. Like, what were the factors to keep you going in the sport?
It was major component probably was just a lot of things. Like it was friends, family, and my own personal beliefs. Like if I start something, I want to see it through to the end. Like I have to finish it. No matter how hard it is, I need to see this through. Family was another big one for me because my family had always supported me. They had everything. Like they drove me out to meets. They were waking up early to get me to practices. They were even paying more money so I could like swim on my own time or swim with a club season, which club is not cheap, especially for swim. Like there's some sports that are expensive for club, but swimming is on another level. Like we were paying probably about 1 grand for just a season of swimming over the
Wow,
summer.
really?
Like it's crazy expensive and it just keeps going up because more people keep joining. And friends is like the biggest thing that was there for me because I had talked to a couple of my friends. This was during probably the first 2 weeks of our season actually starting. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this, guys. Like, I'm so drained already. Like, it's 3 months in the school. I'm tired. I don't want to wake up in the morning. I just want to stay in bed. But they pushed me, and I'm glad they did because if they hadn't pushed me, I would not be here talking to you or on the Aquinas team right now.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes you need those type of people. You need family, you need friends, you need teammates to truly be there because everyone's going to go through rough patches. Like you mentioned, everyone's going to go through slumps. There's going to be practices where you probably still don't necessarily want to wake up and go to. Everyone has those days. But I also know throughout this process as well, you also end up joining some of the most difficult and most technical events. Can you just talk about how you not only join those events or kind of like were you kind of put in those events? Did you kind of sign up for those events? And not only that, like you end up enjoying them. Like I know you enjoy them now, but like for most people, like they would never willingly sign up for it. So just talk about kind of those events and just how you end up there and just how you end up falling kind of a little enjoyment in maybe the suck.
I think enjoying the events was just it was a combination of getting better at them and then my coaches like my old high school coach Patrick Schulteis, he was a fly-in freestyler, so like we even went to his home pool and his records were still sitting there, but I learned most of what I know now from him.
Okay.
And his butterfly I watched it a couple times and I was like, this is amazing, I want to do it, so I stuck with it. Of course, I don't do a whole bunch of butterfly in college now. I'm more breaststroke, but I still do it quite a lot, even in practice. That was one of my biggest motivators was my coaches and just like
Okay.
some of these more technical events, it takes a unique person to be able to do it, especially breaststroke or butterfly, because like butterfly is just super draining. It's probably one of the hardest strokes to like master or going. It's just so much movement. And then breaststroke is just super technical. Like you can't
Okay.
just like throw yourself into it and expect to go fast. You have to master like gliding, the pull, the kick, because the way you're moving your body is unnatural to swim. And so trying to do it is really technical in a fast motion. But definitely through my coaches and other friends, it was something else.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if you could kind of like describe some characteristics of like swimmers that swim fly or swim breast, like what would those characteristics be? Because you did mention that it does take a unique kind of swimmer to do those.
Um, Certain characteristics or attributes to it are exceptionally different because, like, how do I explain this? You have to be hardworking. You have to be dedicated. Like, if you're not like working your butt off, if you're just there to like practice, you're not pushing yourself every day. Like, I get it. It's hard to push yourself every day, especially once you're fatigued, you're just out of it. Like, I know a couple days already, I've been like just so out of it that I can't do it, but I'm still pushing my body to what I can, they just to get the workout in. And then you have to be dedicated to it, especially because like being out for more than 3 days is what my old coach used to say. It's like you restarting for 2 weeks. You're out for three, you're out for two. Well, now I believe it's you're out for one, you're out for one day, you're out for a month. Like I've even started practicing on my own time just so I can keep that movement going because just being out and not being dedicated to it is the hardest thing. And like you have to be joyful when you're swimming too. Because I don't know how many times I've gotten like angry or upset with my swims, and that's just caused my performance to tank. Like you have to go into the event like expecting, not really expecting, knowing you're gonna win. You just want to have you want to have so much joy when you're on the deck because any other emotion like anger, sadness, or just disgust towards something, it doesn't help you at all. You want to be happy all the time, which is another part of why swimming's so draining because like you can be serious, but you can also be happy at the same time. But if you're anything else, it's just super draining to keep that up.
Yeah, because if you have like a bad attitude or a bad like feeling or like maybe you're down on the day, like you're obviously not going to typically perform well. And you can say that for swimming, you can say that for any sport. If you don't have that kind of mental toughness when things aren't going correct, like that's just going to continue to bring you down. And even in a sport that is so physically and mentally demanding, like you said, it's going to continue to affect you negatively. And sometimes it's almost to the point of where I don't want to say you kind of have to lie to yourself a little bit, but you almost kind of have to lie to yourself if things are going right. Like just trying to figure out ways to not fix things, but ways to have a different like approach, a different mindset, or a different like attitude towards things, even when things get hard.
Yeah. Like, again, back to my junior year, like, right before our last conference, we won our conference for 10 years, so winning this one would have made 10 years, and it was the biggest moment we could have. Like, right before, I had some pretty bad relationship problems going on, and my mood for that meet was just absolutely horrendous. But I knew for my team and for my own sake, I had to put that away for a little bit just so I could have fun with everybody else. Because your mood really does impact your friends and everybody else around you. Because if had I been angry or just sad the entire time, everybody would have fed off my energy and it would have made everybody else perform terribly. I'm certain there's people there that are on our team that like it wouldn't affect, but I guarantee there's other swimmers that would have been key to winning our conference. So just like it's hard to like sometimes put those feelings away, but you have to put them in a box sometimes and then take them one step at a time, especially when you have bigger meets like that, whether it be conference, sectionals, state, or like nationals.
Yeah, yeah, and it's one of those things where you kind of maybe have to put it away, but also use it as motivation as well. Like I know sometimes, depending on the specific person, sometimes they actually thrive when things aren't going extremely well or when they're frustrated. There's other people that, like you mentioned, that kind of struggle through that as well. I know that you struggled your junior year. Obviously, it kind of got going. That ended up leading to you being to Aquinas. So just talk about like how that whole thing came to be, like how you end up going to Aquinas, how you end up even finding out about the college. Obviously, you're in Indiana, a little bit further away than like the GR area and Michigan. Was it truly kind of like your junior year when you started to finally see a little bit more success, kind of doing well at conference going into your senior year. Was that when you really kind of just started to click a little bit more like, hey, you know what, even though I had that frustrating start my junior year, I still want to compete or I can compete in college? And then how did Aquinas come into that factor after that?
Yeah, especially after my junior year, we had just came right off a sectional title. We finally took away a sectional title from a school that had it for like 11 or 12 years. So after that, I had performed some amazing times, and I already knew I wanted to go to college to swim for the longest time.
Okay.
But it really, like, after that season finishing it off strong, I definitely knew I wanted to swim in college. So over the course of the summer, I signed up for NCSA, which is a great site. It helped me find where I was supposed to go and where I wanted to do. Like it had like you could search up majors or just basic athletics in general, or like what type of environment you wanted or what state, which
Okay.
really helped me. It was actually our head coach here, Christy, that actually reached out to me first. If I'm gonna be honest, I at first paid no attention to her email. I had read it, I saw it. I didn't pay attention to it for at least a month because I was in that mindset: if I'm not in D1, I'm nothing else. I
Does
have
she
to.
know that? Have you ever told her that, or
she,
is she gonna find out through this podcast that you did that?
yeah, she knows that I ignored her
Okay.
email for a little bit.
Okay, at
Um,
least she knows. So at least it's not like some breaking news on this podcast, and you're like, she's like, "Why did you ignore me? I didn't know that." But at least she knows a little bit. So
yeah, I had seen her email and I was like, it's D1 or nothing, baby. And I just had to go with it. But eventually I started doing more like in depth research. I was going on Swim Cloud and everything else. And I was like noticing, hey, these times are really similar. Like this NIA school could beat this like other D1 school. So of course I eventually emailed her back. I said, hey, this is what I do. Here's all my events and stuff. Here's the times I currently have. Here's what keeps me motivated. Here's like my major and everything, what I want to study, um, the personality I have, what I could help with your team. We ended up talking back and forth. Of course, I was talking with other coaches. Like, I still didn't give up that D1 dream. I was talking with, like Coach Agnew from Ball State. Like,
okay,
I was talking with him. I had talked with the GSVU head coach as well. Like, I was looking up time standards. I was like, hey, okay, so I have 2 more seasons left. I have to hit these time markers in order to go there. So, of course, I was comparing myself to those. I still kept my mind open to where I wanted to go. Like, of course, I'm from a lower income family, so there was no way I was going to be able to go like across the state all the way back to Washington. I'd never be able to afford it unless I was working. But I eventually decided on just the few following states around. Michigan was probably the biggest one because I have family up here. I have one of my cousins that's just like 6 hours north of me. That's in another school,
okay,
so I knew people around here. But it was what, probably around December, I was really thinking about it because senior year, you got a lot of decisions to make. It's your last year at high school, which is
yeah,
the biggest one.
exactly.
Um, I had been talking back and forth to Christy. I had been emailing D2 still as well. And I was slowly getting my mind more towards Aquinas than anything else. Like, it was definitely a hard decision because it was either
Oh yeah,
academics or swim. Because, like, Ball State has great academics, and it was only about 2 hours for me, which is a
okay,
lot closer than what Aquinas was.
yeah,
So I could definitely just go back and forth. But, I eventually made the decision to come to Aquinas because I knew I didn't want to give up swimming, no matter how like, no matter how bad it was at certain points. But I knew I didn't want to give it up. I had invested like 8 years into the sport now. I had been swimming all my life, just not competitively up until the 6th grade. So eventually, one random day, because I was a lifeguard for one of my teachers, and they were
okay,
doing the pacer test and stuff. One day, I'm sitting up in the guard room, and I'm like, I'm gonna text her and say, "Hey, I'm gonna commit." And I just randomly text her saying, "Hey, I made my decision. I'm gonna commit to your school." So it was just like a random spur of the moment because I had talked with some of my best friends about this because I had one of my best friends, Matthew Klingy, graduate the year before, and he
okay.
swims at Ohio State now.
Oh
Like,
really?
really good kid. Like, he
Yeah,
was he won high school state 4 years in a row, pretty much. So of course, he was the first person I went to because he was the one person I knew that had experience with college, other than like a guy that graduated my freshman year, which I still talk to him, but I definitely had a deeper connection with the other guy. So I was like,
Exactly.
hey, what do you think I should do? Do you think I should commit here and follow it? Or do you think I should stay with my academics? And he literally verbatim told me like a Spider Man quote. It was like, I think it was probably like, with great power comes great responsibility.
I
And
love
like,
it.
to choose whatever you feel is right. And so I eventually chose Aquinas, even after like reading it. I was like, I'm glad I talked to him about it because it definitely persuaded me a little bit. Like, I think at heart I was always gonna pick Aquinas, but it was just like the fact of it was in the back of my mind. Like, I either go somewhere for my academics and quit swimming forever, or I do this and I commit here, do my academics, get better, and continue progressing. So
Yeah, like it's something that you always kind of knew, like you always knew that was kind of what you wanted to do, but it's almost one of those situations where you kind of just need someone to kind of like tell you or like kind of like just push you towards that direction. You're like, "Oh, that's what I was thinking the whole time." And I just kind of needed that little nudge, and obviously having that relationship with the head coach talking to her prior probably helped with that as well. Did you know at the time that Aquinas was a pretty new swim program? Because it hasn't been around that long. I believe it's been maybe around like 5 years, maybe a little bit less. Like it's not like some like historical program. Obviously, you guys have had a lot of success in a short little time, but did you know that? Or was it more of kind of like you didn't really know that until you kind of got to the school? Or is it really not something that's talked about too much because there's certain expectations now that you are at Aquinas that you guys have done so well so far as a team?
I think Christy had actually made it like aware to me in the very first email, like, "Hey, this is our fourth season. We've got some great people going because like right now I'm on the fifth season, so it's definitely really new. Like we don't even have our own pool. We practice at the high school pool that's like 10 minutes down the road, if that. Um, it's generally a new program. She made it aware to me like straight away, pretty much. I was like, okay, I understand that. Like again, I was going on swim club and I was looking at all the kids that were here. I was like, okay, Luke Martin, Titus, or like Lucas Houston, all people that like top three at the school, I would say, for at least the guys, at least in my mind. I was looking at their times. So I'm like, these guys are really fast. Like, it's only their fourth season, and like they're almost there. And I was following their Instagram page, and I was watching their conference and nationals. I was like, these guys are really, really good. Like, they almost beat Olivet Nazarene last year in conference, which is no easy feat. Olivet's been winning that meet for a long time. So just seeing that was just like it was another motivator for me to like see what they have, and I kept digging into it. And of course, I eventually chose Aquinas, but it was just like seeing the progress in the team that I could see through them. Just like even if I wasn't here in person, like I'd come down here a handful of times.
Okay.
Like I had my star day, I was registering for my classes, or like I drove, I drove 3.5 hours just so I could speak to Christy one day.
Oh, I
I
love
drove
that.
all the way just so I could speak to her and figure out what, like, hey, what are we doing? And I was like, okay, this is great because we sat down, talked for hour, I would say at the most,
Wow, that's awesome.
and just talked about like, hey, this is what we would do. This is our practice schedule. What we're looking for, like conference, nationals, and like where we think you could be at by the end of the season. So
Yeah, and that's the unique thing about obviously going to a newer program is that you guys are writing history every single year, right? Like every single year you get better, you're writing your own story, you're writing your own history, you're getting better every single year, you're making history every single year. That's something that you don't necessarily get at every school, like schools that have kind of that historical background of having a lot of success, but that's just kind of the cool thing that comes with going to a school like Aquinas is that you're going to be surrounded by obviously a great coach. I know she's awesome. I know a lot of people love her. I've heard nothing but good things about her. I believe the Instagram page might even follow the podcast or she might even follow the podcast. I forgot which exactly one. I think we've even talked. I can't exactly remember. But I know that she's obviously a great head coach, a great person. You've talked very highly about her, which is obviously really great. But you've also talked very highly about Aquinas so far. I kind of want to get into Aquinas a little bit more, kind of the transition, because obviously it is a little bit of a move away from home for you going from Indiana to Michigan. Just how was the transition from high school to Aquinas? Not only like academics wise, not only like the moving of it, but just the transition from high school swim to college swim.
The transition was definitely different. Like, I was used to, like, of course, I always had morning practice, but it was only like morning weights, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and then we had a 3 hour practice on Saturdays. So I wasn't up all that early that often. Like, I was up early because I had to get up to go to school because our school started at like 7:30 and I lived about 30 minutes away. So I was up at 6 every morning. But definitely the transition from waking up at that time, having practice right after school, and then doing practice before school and then going to school, it was a huge change. Like, especially with the practice schedule, like, I was used to practicing Monday through Saturday. And since
Okay,
we're using the high school pool, we practice Monday through Friday, but we put in every single bit of work we can into it because we
exactly.
get limited time in the pool. We don't have our
Yeah,
own pool, which sucks, but we make what we can with it. Like, we incorporate our own movements into the weekend and everything. So, and we're doing dryland Monday, Friday, weights Tuesdays, Thursday, and then we're coming together as a team on Wednesdays and having like a classroom time. We're speaking about like, hey, well, could we do better? What makes a conference team?
exactly.
Like, we'll call each other out on things too. Like, hey, you're getting out too much during practice, or you're not waking up on time, or you're not eating right. Like, it's a very open community, especially on Aquinas, which is something I wish I had on my high school team. We were definitely very open, but there was also
Okay,
times where it was like, of course, it's high school, so we're in our own groups. So you have like your own little friend groups. You don't talk much outside of them, and I'm at fault for that. Even as a senior, I tried to push myself into more of that. That way,
okay.
I could get everybody's like know-how because I was one of the captains. So I was making sure, hey, I know what you're doing. Make sure you're safe. But here, it's like, especially with a smaller team, like you can really feel everybody's like emotions in it. Like during high school, never like talked to the girls barely at all. But like boys and girls here, we're both practicing at the same time. We have boys and girls lanes mixed together sometimes. Like even today at stations, like it was me, like 7 of us in a lane, 3 guys and like 4 girls. And of
Okay.
course, we're conversing the entire time. So just the
Yeah.
environment and atmosphere and the practice was just entirely different. But like it was on a whole nother scale of like, sure, I'm missing certain parts of what I had in high school, like the extra practices, but the environment here was just so much better. It was so much more welcoming than what I feel like it was my freshman year of high school compared to my freshman year of college.
Yeah, and I feel like that a lot of that has to do with that. Like everyone at Aquinas wants to swim. Like that's why I don't want to say that's the only reason why people go to Aquinas is to join the swimming team. Obviously, there's great academics. There's other things that apply to the school that is great as well. But like everyone's swimming in college because one, they can, two, they're good enough to, and three, because they want to. And that's not necessarily the case in high school, is that like maybe you have people that don't necessarily want to, or obviously you have different groups. Like in college, you're, I don't want to say you're kind of forced to be a little bit closer with each other, but just kind of that common ground that everyone has of enjoyment of swimming obviously makes it a little bit easier to kind of have a concise and together group.
Yeah, like especially living with people because I'm in the dorms. I'm freshman, so kind of required. But like just living with like 3 other guys, it's just so different because like
Oh
you're
yeah,
spending all your time with these guys. Sure, we might not all have the same classes. Like I know like two of like my dorm mate Liam and then my suite mate Carl and Stan. We all have classes like with each other at some point, but it might be like one class or we might just see each other throughout the day. But it's
exactly.
definitely like in a completely different environment for what I was used to. And I'm so glad I did because like coming here was a great decision on that part. Cause just seeing everybody and like talking to everybody, like I think I've talked more to the seniors now than I ever did while I was in high school. Cause like, of
That's
course,
awesome.
freshmen in high school, seniors, they're big and scary. But like
Yeah.
now that I'm an adult and I'm in college as a freshman again, I've talked to the seniors the most, I think, out of anybody. I don't even think I talked to my grade that much, as weird as that sounds. Like, of course I
Yeah.
talk to them, but I feel like I talk more to them and I just understand them better sometimes.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that obviously, like the seniors, they've gone through it. Like they have a little bit of understanding. Like if you have questions, if you need help, you can obviously go to them. Like I'm sure they have been there. I'm sure they've helped answer. I'm sure they've helped push you. Obviously, they are captains as well. Like they've kind of been through similar things that you're probably going to go through as well. So they're obviously there to kind of like help you guys out, try to get things going. Obviously, you guys have had a few college meets. I do want to talk about that here shortly. But I know one thing that was extremely important to you in high school that has kind of continued throughout college as well is that both of your schools have had a lot of traditions, and I know that traditions to you is a pretty big thing. So just talk about those and just how have they obviously helped you settle in so quickly, but also just talk about why you enjoy the traditions and kind of some traditions that you guys do at Aquinas. And did you know any of them prior to Aquinas, or was it more of just a surprise thing once you finally got there?
Um, so coming to Aquinas, I figured there was going to be traditions. I had no clue what they were at the time, though. I was kind of in the
Okay.
dark on that. But
Which is
as-
probably a good thing. Like I feel
yeah,
like no one knows probably going into college what the traditions are. You only know that if you experience them.
yeah, it like the traditions coming here when I found out what they were, it made it so like it was really funny when it first happened to me because I was like, "Oh, this is hilarious." But it was a great surprise, but traditions are definitely very important to me because my high school team, we had plenty of traditions. Like before every home meet, we'd put a little bit of hot sauce on our wrist and then we'd lick it right before we went out to go swim.
Okay.
And we just keep increasing the intensity of it until it was like, this is really awful. But it
Yeah.
was just one of our like fun, dumb little traditions that got started one year and it stuck. Or like every Friday, we'd go to Pizza Hut. We'd all sit down at one
Wow, that's
table.
awesome.
We'd create a huge long table, basically family style, and just talk, have fun. We'd sit with people we didn't know, and it was always just the greatest time, especially over the like 4 years I was there. Like going to dinner with everybody once a week was just the greatest thing. Cause like this was right after practice, so of course we're all hungry. We go over there, we eat,
Yeah.
and then we go home. But like it was just so fun. We had what there was always senior night, which was like the biggest tradition of throwing our coaches in. So we'd always
Well, that's
run.
awesome.
We always ran after our coaches, picked him up, and threw him in the pool whether they wanted it or not. We had so many like weird, wacky traditions. Like we made posters for the girls right before the
Okay.
sectionals. Like we'd make posters, then we'd go to their house, put it in the ground, and be like, "Hey, here you go." Like it was just such a creative time for all of us. We had so many more traditions. Like I don't know how many of them are still even there. Like we even had one that was really special to me. It was called the dub chain. So anytime you raced and you won your heat, you got this really like blinged out necklace that either had like the Pillsbury Doughboy or like
Okay.
Toucan Sam from Fruit Loops or
That's
like
awesome.
Chester the Cheetah or like I think last year we had like Gengar from Pokemon. And it was just
Okay.
like this really jeweled up necklace. It was worth basically nothing, but to us it was worth everything. And, for like one meet for long course, our head coach, her husband had gotten like these WWE belts for Christmas.
Oh,
This is
that's
like a
awesome.
funny gag.
Yeah.
And we ended up calling them the dub belts. And so every time we went to this one long course meet, of course it's high school, so it's all short course, but we had this one long course meet, funnest thing ever. But anytime you won your heat or just won anything in general, like you'd hold up the belt and you'd just start screaming like a mad lad, and it was the funniest thing ever. But like some of those traditions to hear was like it was great knowing that. Like we have it's a human femur. It's like an anatomical like something you'd find off a dummy skeleton. It's a human femur
Okay.
and it has everybody's name written on it every time they've gotten it. It's called you basically call it dog of the meat because our mascot is the Saint Bernard Nelson. And anytime you're like dominating the entire field, like you're PRing every single event or you're winning every single one of your heats, like, or you're just showing like outstanding sportsmanship or something like that, you get called dog of the meet. We'll huddle up all together at the end of the meet, and captains will call it off, say, hey, like, let's see, Carl, I think he was the first dog of the meet we had for our very first meet, because he had never swum two fly in his life, finally swam it and went like a 204 or 205.
Wow.
So pretty fast.
Yeah.
But he was labeled dog of the meet, and so he got to take home this really long human femur, write his name on it, and then next meet we give it, and then we keep passing it around to everybody that gets it. So it was just a really funny tradition, and uh, supposedly there's more traditions. We're not far enough into the season yet for me to know what they are.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's one of those things that you'll find out when they happen. But obviously, like we've been saying earlier, like they help teams come together. Like obviously, like big meets, like that makes people want to perform well. Is to have those type of things, to have your name on obviously like that femur stuff like that. So there's obviously a little bit of motivation. Obviously brings the team closer together. And I know you talked about a few meets that you guys have had recently, and you just swam your first couple of college meets. Just how cool was it finally getting to get to that point and swim in those meets? Like, were they a little bit different than kind of prior meets? Are they all kind of the same thing? Like, hey, they're just a meet. Like, it's just something I've done for the rest of my life, or was kind of the first one a little bit of a special moment for you?
Um, Definitely the first meet. It was super special to me because, like, hey, it's my debut swim. This is where, like, I mark what my season's gonna be. Like, first meet, greatest thing ever. Like, it was a 2-day long meet. So we had Friday and Saturday, and we had 3 sessions. So we had one session on Friday, then we had 2 sessions, an AM and a PM on Saturday.
Okay.
It was just a great time. This was what I think this was the meet right before fall break we had. And Friday, I did amazing. Like, I was
Really?
going some pretty fast times for what I had been swimming like just a couple weeks ago. Like, I was like a 204 in my 2 IM, which is like one of my old PRs that I like had 2 years ago. But
Wow,
you know,
that's
like just
awesome.
hitting that time right at the beginning of a season was just super fun. And then what? I also swam 100 breasts that day. I think there was and it was 100 breast of something. It might have been off the 4 medley relay, but I went like a 103 or a 104, which was like a really
Okay.
good time for me.
Yeah.
Of course, Saturday, that was a little rougher because I had woken up and somehow tweaked my neck. So I
Yeah,
didn't,
that's never good.
yeah, so I didn't actually end up swimming much of the AM session. I
Okay.
swam like I think it was like a 2 medley relay, and that was because I was like, you know what, I can tough it out. I can get my teammates through this because they all wanted a time, and I'm not gonna like sacrifice just one person for them because we couldn't sub anybody else because we have, of course, injuries happen. We have a couple people out with injuries, so like me being on that list didn't help. But I was
Yeah.
better for the PM session. I came back and I swam my best events. I even
Good.
PR'd in one of my events, still like being slightly injured, and I haven't even like come close to that time this season yet. So I started off and I just haven't hit it. But definitely, like with the meets this year, it's definitely different from what high school was. Like high
Okay.
school, it's bang, 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 bang. They're all shorter events. Like we're doing 200s of everything. You have two fly, two back, two breast. Whereas in high school, you're only doing like a maximum of a 200 free and then 100 in every other stroke. Like, of course, you have
Exactly.
the 5 free, but like that's the longest mid distance stroke you have, which is 2 free. But especially going to like college now, where I'm 100 breasts, two breasts, like swimming those just in the same meet is like it's definitely hard sometimes, but it's really fun because those are some of the best events I enjoy. Like I think one of my favorite events is probably two fly. I doubt anybody else would agree.
Yeah,
I'm
probably not.
Yeah, no, two fly, it hurts a lot, but it's just so fun to do sometimes, especially once you know what you're doing. But like we had another meet last weekend. It was in Elkhart, Indiana, so it's of course home state meet, because I'm from Indiana. But and I've swum in that pool before, and that's where I think nationals is too.
Okay.
But swim in that pool, I did really well. Like I
Really?
almost beat Luke Martin, one of the seniors on this team. I think he has the 200 IM record here, and I almost beat him in the 2 IM, which was so nice. I was just a hair behind him. And then what? I had 4 medley and 2 breast as well. I got close to my PR on that 2 breast as well. Like, I'm definitely still working on a lot of things. I'm messing with my tempo, my stroke rate, just everything. Like how far I'm going underwaters, my starts, my turns. But definitely the change from high school meets to college meets. I definitely thought it would have been like vastly different, but I think being in club and doing those events definitely like altered my perspective on it.
Okay.
Cause I'm used to some of these events. I've swam them for like the last 4 years. Like I've been swimming two fly for so long. Like I was in
It's
my
just natural for you.
yeah, in my divisionals, I was like I think a 4-time champ in the two fly because of
Okay.
course nobody wants to do two fly, so I just
No.
kept doing it.
Yeah.
And I
You're
just
you're like, let me just win this every single time.
yeah, so and of course I was going for stake cut every time. I missed it just by hair, but
Okay.
um it was definitely as much as I would love to say it was a change, it wasn't all that much. Like definitely the atmosphere was a change because everybody is so much bigger than me. I am not a very big person. Like I'm 150
That's okay.
pounds. I'm 150 pounds, 5'7". Everybody else towers over me. I'm pretty sure besides like one other person on the team here at Aquinas, I'm the shortest person. Everybody
Hey,
else
that's
is
okay.
yeah, everybody else here is like 5'10" and up, but I'm still keeping up with them. Like it's the greatest thing ever,
Yeah.
especially. But
Yeah. And I'm sure the greatest thing ever is having that home state meet. Like going back to Indiana, obviously it's a little bit of a move from Indiana, but obviously having that home state meet obviously means a lot to you. You can definitely tell just kind of like the impact it had. You swam in that pool, a little bit of familiarity with it. Obviously, did pretty well, and there's a real possibility you could go to nationals, go back to Indiana. I'm sure that you probably won't, like never swim in Indiana again. I'm sure you'll probably have a couple other chances at least at Aquinas, but it had to be kind of nice having a little bit of that home feeling away from quote unquote Aquinas.
yeah, and it definitely won't be the last time. We like I said, we have nationals. It's in Elkhart. Then we have I think our conference is in Hobart, Indiana, which
Okay.
even being living in Indiana, I didn't know that was a place up until I saw that location on the meet. So it's definitely gonna be. It's not like it's gonna be my last time, especially even once the college season's over. I'll end up going back home. I have an old club team that I'm gonna practice through, so I'll
Okay,
still
that's
be
awesome.
competing around in and outside of Indiana, but definitely going home for that like one meet, it definitely gave me a little bit of happiness towards it because I'm missing home a little bit. It's
Yeah.
definitely a change because like I've lived there for 4 years. I call it my home, and now I live in a whole nother state, which sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but it's definitely a change. But like I said, it's not going to be the last time going to or from Indiana, so I just can't wait to see where it goes for that.
Yeah, and change isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes change can be a good thing. It sounds like it's been a good thing so far. Obviously, a little bit of homesick like that kind of happens, but like you said, you're going to get opportunities to go back to Indiana with other meets. And I know that you did mention like the first meet was kind of like a measure kind of meet, trying to figure out a little bit of where you are, where you want to go. And that's where I kind of want to go with these last like two questions. One, kind of just wrapping about just like what the sport means to you. But the second to last one I want to get to is just kind of like measurement. Like, what do you hope to like accomplish in the future, and just how excited are you to get to the big conference meet as well? I know it's a little ways away. You still haven't had your mid-season meet. I'm sure you guys taper for that, but there's still a while left to go. But just what do you hope to accomplish, and how excited are you for that conference meet?
Um, Honestly, I'm super excited for that conference meet. Like, I have one of my old friends that I used to swim through with club or during high school season, and he goes to Olivet Nazarene. His
Okay.
name's Jake Fincher. I don't know if you know who that is, but
No, I don't.
yeah. But he's a great guy, and I can't wait to race him. Like, we have our own like dual meet against Olivet Nazarene, and of course, they've been winning conference year after year. But I think it's going to be great competition to go up against him again, even if we don't even like end up swimming the same events because he's a lot of free and fly. I'm turned more into breast and fly, but
Okay.
It really just depends on where Christy or Trevor puts me in, because I've told them numerous times, wherever I'm going to score the most points, put me there, because I want to
Exactly.
help the team out the most wherever I can. So, conference, I'm excited for it. Like, I've been looking forward to it ever since I committed to Aquinas, because that's going to be one of the biggest meets I ever do. Like, it's a 4 day long meet. It's like senior state for me. You're doing events every day. You have an prelims and finals for like 4 days straight. That's a
Yeah.
hard thing to get through. Like,
Yeah. It's
swimming,
fun though.
yeah, it's fun. It's just definitely a lot of training work, because like you're swimming at how fast your body can go. Like, I guarantee after it's gonna hurt a lot once I finish conference, because you're swimming at your top speed, your top physique the entire time for 4 days. There's no stopping, no cooling down. You got to keep yourself going. Like, of course, you're warming up and
Exactly.
cooling down every day. You're getting rest in between, but like, if you're not staying in that one consistent area for the entire 4 days, it's game over at that point.
Yeah, and that's what you obviously prepare all year for is to swim well, you taper, you do all that kind of stuff is for that meet. But it's something that I'm extremely excited to see. Obviously, how you do, I'm excited to see how the team does. Maybe we'll get you on, or I know you want to get yourself and a couple of teammates on in the future. We'll definitely have to do that maybe after conference meet. I feel like that would be kind of fun, or nationals, depending on how this season goes. But I do want to wrap it up with one last question because obviously the whole topic that we've been talking about is swimming and how you've gotten to Aquinas, what's gotten to the point of where you are currently. Just what does the sport mean to you, and why should people give the sport a try?
That's gonna be a hard one to define, because like the sport means a lot to me, but it means a lot of things to everybody else. Like, to me, it's the greatest thing that could have ever happened to me. Like, I met some of my lifelong friends, my ride or dies in the sport. Like, I've put in so much time and effort into the sport that it's definitely changed me. Like, I've changed how I eat and everything just so like I could swim faster. Like, I was giving up certain foods that I loved because I was like, I think this is what's tanking my performance. And maybe that was just a
Yeah,
mental thing, but I gave them up and
could
I
be, but
started
you
getting
never know.
faster.
Yeah,
And just to define it in one thing is really hard, because the sport, again, everybody has their own thing. Some people just love the thrill of being able to go as fast as possible, or like me, I like the just being able to go as fast as possible and pushing myself past my limits. Like, that's what
exactly.
I enjoy the most out of swimming, is like just finding these new things I can learn about, like watching swim video from like Michael Phelps, Cody Miller, any like Olympic athlete you can name. Like, even Katie Ledecky. I used to be a distance swimmer, kind of still am. I watched her film all the time just so I could like figure out how her stroke worked at all. Because again, she's the most dominant like female swimmer in distance ever. She is not lost.
Agreed.
Um, but swimming to me is just the most important thing ever. Like, it's truly the love of my life. Like, I wouldn't change it any other way. Like, if I could go back in time and change what sport I would, I'd still pick swim every single time, hands down.
Awesome.
Like, sure, it'd be cool to do volleyball or baseball or basketball, do all those fun sports. Like, I genuinely enjoy doing those sports, even if I'm not great at them. But swimming has just, ever since I was put in it, I never wanted to stop afterwards. That first time I won, or like, I think the one thing that kept me in swimming the longest and what made me realize I want to push myself all the way towards like the Olympics. That's the major goal for any swimmer. Like, if you're truly committed, is to go to the Olympics. Like, I would have been 10, maybe 11 at the time, and I was swimming. And this one girl in high school, I was racing the 500. I almost beat her in the 500, first time ever swimming it. I went like a 550 in the 500,
Okay.
which for a first time 500er, that's a pretty good time for my age group. And right after that race, what kept me motivated was the fact that she told me, I saw you at every single turn and had to push myself harder to beat you.
Exactly.
That one line she told me, just something in me that day like snapped, and I knew I wanted to stay in the sport. Like, knowing that I almost beat a high schooler at like the age of 10 while she was like a junior or a senior, just I knew right from there I needed to continue doing this. And I knew from that point on, like, I dug my head deep. Like, I stopped arguing with my coach. I was very argumentative. I still
Yeah,
am a little bit. It's a bad habit, but um I started cooperating. I started getting in practice earlier, started eating right, like even even being that young and starting super late in swimming, like in my club that I used to swim at, like there's these kids that are swimming like the age of 7 or 8,
yeah,
and like they're going these state cut times. They're way faster than me when I ever was that age. But just knowing that like I started late and I'm here now is just such a great motivator, and I think that should not stop anybody else. Like, it's never too late to join. Like, I'm not gonna say, hey, you can't join. Like, you started high school, you can't make it here. Like, there's plenty of people that can start in high school, and if you stay committed, you can make it to a college program. Like,
exactly,
I'm not gonna say it's gonna be easy. Like, if the earlier you start, the more knowledge you have under your belt, it's gonna make it so much easier to get into a college program. But like starting later, like you can still put in the same amount of work and get there. It's just going to be a lot harder on you both mentally and physically compared to somebody that's probably swam a lot longer than you have. So,
exactly. Yeah, and you can tell obviously how much the sport means to you, how much it's helped shape you, and just like the impact it's had on your life. And I think it's one of those things that athletics, just as a whole, sports as a whole, has a ton of impact on people. And I think that's just like the unique thing of sports, just specific sports, any sports, that it does truly impact someone. The sport of swimming has impacted you. I know you still have at least a couple more years left to go to hopefully continue to kind of write your story, just see how it impacts you, see where you can kind of get to. And I know that you're obviously really excited about it, and I'm just honored to obviously have you on the podcast to talk a little bit about that. And one thing I always say to anyone that ever joins is, if you ever want to come back on, would love to have you back on. No pressure whatsoever to ever come back on. If you don't want to, no big deal. But yeah, I really appreciate you joining. It's been a ton of fun. Hopefully you had fun. Hopefully it was worth your time. And yeah, good luck the rest of this year, and obviously good luck the rest of your career at Aquinas.
thank you. It means a lot. I will definitely be back on here, whether it be by myself or with a group of my teammates, because I would love to get another podcast going here with like a good chunk of the team. Like, I'd love to have the seniors because it's, of course, their last season and they've been here since the start of it. So, getting them on here to speak about everything and getting our Aquinas program to spread even further out than it already is would be a great thing. So, thank you for hosting me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Would love to do that. We'll definitely have to plan something here in the near future. Like I said, maybe after a conference after this year, maybe towards the end of the year going into a conference, we can definitely talk about that. But yeah, no, thank you again. And that is a wrap to episode number 513. And thank you again to Bryce for joining, and tune in to the next episode.